Thank you very much for staying with us here on PM Express. Tonight we have two men who are the helm of affairs when it comes to the Public Accounts Committee. The Public Accounts Committee looks into the Auditor General's report, made recommendations for implementation. And I guess one of the most important committees in Parliament is that particular committee. Also because of its structure, it has the minority chairing it and the majority in the ranking position, and they have two of the men at the helm with me on PM Express tonight. It's James Kuchaveji, who is the chair of the Public Accounts Committee. He's also the deputy minority leader. Also with me is his ranking member on that same committee, Kofi Otrejekun, on the Public Accounts Committee. I'm sure you've heard the news items that have been making the rounds about the Auditor General's report. There's another one that is again raising a lot of eyebrows for millions and millions of dollars that need to be accounted for. That has become subject to a lot of public debate. But this is not the first Auditor General's report that has come up. And so I'm happy to have them join me as the nation debates another Auditor General's report. James Kuchaveji, you must be I don't know, fatigued, because I am. Each time I hear Auditor General's report, the figures are mind-blowing. There's another one that the public is talking about. Each time it happens, there's a lot of passion in the call for action. What's your reaction when you are anticipating another Auditor General's report? There's already the 2017 one that you're here to deal with, correct?
Yeah. There is 2017 report which the committee is yet to sit on before the 2018 report has also been submitted by the Auditor General to Parliament. So we in the committee are actually planning to start working on the 2017 report very soon. And then we'll look at the recommendations in both reports and see whether we can combine both 2017 and 2018. But if that cannot be done, then we'll take the 2017 one and then later take the 2018. But looking at the presentation that we had today, where the figures for the amount of infraction have more than doubled, it's something that is quite worrying.
It's scary, actually.
Yes, because if in 2017 the infractions dropped from 2.1 billion Ghana cedis to about 822 million, but 2018 report, the figure has now increased to over 5 billion.
Yes.
Over 500% jump. It's scary.
This is money we've lost as a country.
No, we have not lost it completely. When the report of the Auditor General is issued, that is not conclusive. That is not final. That is why the Auditor General will submit the report to Parliament, for Parliament to go and look at the report and invite the people cited in the report for questioning. Now, when they appear before the Public Accounts Committee, there are some issue for infractions cited by the Auditor General, which by the time they come here, they had gone to clear it. Either they've gone to pay, or they retrieved the money from the people who might have taken the money wrongly, or based on some mistake or whatever. So those will not be counted as loss to government. So we cannot conclude from here now that the over 5 billion is loss to government. Portion of it will definitely be recovered when the committee starts sitting. Or even as we speak now, agencies cited in the report might be working on some of those recommendations by the Auditor General before they even appear before the Public Accounts Committee. So we cannot conclude here by saying that the 5.2 billion is lost to government. But it's worrying that we should be having those infractions. We thought that the infractions should be reducing. When the 2017 report reduced in terms of infraction and amount, we thought that the 2018 will reduce further, but rather it has turned.
And this is a report that was made public by the Auditor General just a couple of weeks back, and you rightly pointing out that the figure that the Auditor General is putting down as irregularities is scary. Mr. Otrejekun, it comes back to the point. Some say we are paying attention now to the 2018 report, and rightly so, irregularities have jumped. What would you accept the verdict people have had that this is an indictment on the Public Accounts Committee?
Indictment on the Public Accounts Committee.
Because you scrutinize it, and you haven't. Nothing has changed.
Oh, I don't think we will be able to accept that one.
Why won't you?
Yeah, we scrutinize it, but it's just like saying that if a lot of officers have committed more infractions, and they have been unearthed by the Auditor General, and it has brought before us. Why should it be an indictment on us?
Because in 2016 one you looked at, there hasn't been any penalty. And people will repeat an offense, they will repeat an action which is not punished.
Yes. So what I agree with you is that, yes, there's the need for us to punish people, sanction people, so that they will serve as a deterrent. That one I agree with you. But the powers to punish and sanction is not with Parliament.
We've had this.
But let me also correct a misconception that may arise out of it. You see, infractions does not necessarily mean that money has been lost. I'll give you an example. If the Auditor General comes to your department and you have collected taxes that you were supposed to have transmitted to government, you have not done it. The money is still with the organization. And at the time that they were at your station, it's not that. They will record this as infraction and the amount involved. But it doesn't mean that that money has been lost to the state. In fact, most of the time, by the time they even come before us, that money has been transferred to GRA and the evidence will be there. Again, if you make a simple analysis and say that the value has jumped, you may be wrong.
That's the Auditor General's report.
No, yeah, but I'm just getting there. You see, if an auditor goes to a place and there's one transaction, maybe to go one procurement transaction that has got a value of about 5 billion. It's one transaction. It should have gone to tender. It did not go to tender. So has been some procurement breach. It is cited as an infraction. But it's 5 billion. So that comes in and you say that, oh, the value of the infractions have jumped from 600,000 to 5 billion. But this is only one. The previous year, there were about 300 infractions. But small values. It came up to 300,000. So we should be careful without saying that, oh, because the 2018, the value is 5 point something billion. And 2016, it actually dropped in terms of value. So then it's more scary and alarming. That misconception we should be careful about. Because I've seen it happen.
Mr. Abedi seem to be disagreeing.
Yeah, I'm disagreeing with my ranking member.
Why?
Because the ideal situation is that there shouldn't be any infraction at all. There shouldn't be any infraction. That should be the ideal situation. Whether it's one infraction, 2 or 3 or 1,000 infractions that amount to a certain figure should not be a justification. To justify that, if the amount is 5.2 billion, doesn't mean that the infractions are increasing because it could be only one transaction which amounted to that. Why should that infraction, that one transaction, fall within that infraction?
Chairman,
so that is why I said...
Chairman, I'm not saying that the infractions there should be justification for any infraction at all.
But the way you are putting it is zero. It means that you are justifying
No, I'm not justifying.
Don't correct yourself.
I'm saying that just looking at the value of infractions and say that it's getting serious, maybe misconception, maybe wrong. Because if last year there were 100 infractions and this year it has reduced to 2, the auditors and the people, then people are stopping. I mean, the level is going down. But
if it's going up?
But if one of them has a very high value, and you look at only the value, not the number of infractions here, because this one is terrible, the situation is getting bad.
I just care about the value.
Yeah, and I'm saying that, for instance, sometimes, even in the case that I'm citing, yes, there has been a procurement that has not gone through tender, and so maybe it is sole sourcing or something. It's an infraction, but does that mean that the money has been lost to the state? It means that the procurement has taken place against without the due process.
You know why?
Do you understand my point?
No, you see, I'm getting worried. My ranking, I'm getting worried. What should be of importance to us as a state is a value. I'm saying that it doesn't matter if the infraction is 1, 2, or 1,000. What is of importance to us is a value. That is a value that we are saying is being lost to the state, or which you must work on to retrieve. Do you understand? Now, the example he's citing about the procurement not following the due process. Yes, the law has been made that follow this process so that nothing goes wrong, so that value for money is attained. You didn't go through that process. Something has passed under the waters. That is what we should be talking about. Don't say that nothing has been lost to the state. Yes, it's let's say 5 billion. But do you know how much of 5 billion belongs to the individual who didn't go through the process, the right process? That should be of concern to us.
I'm not saying it should not be of concern.
Yes.
I'm saying that we should not mislead the public to think that just because there's one infraction and it's big, so it means that infractions are all over the place.
You know what I'm struggling with the idea. When this government first came to power, one of the biggest things we heard was a $5 billion that the vice president threw out there, that the auditor had discovered that the NDC government was going to, I think these were contracts that they audited. Mr. Abuji, you remember this? And it became such a big deal because they felt, and the NDC's position was that this is not money that we've already committed to pay. And these are monies that, people, contractual obligations, etc., that are not even due yet. People haven't. But the government insisted that the values are the values, and we've saved the country. 5 billion. Do you remember this?
No, you see.
Isn't that the same argument?
No, it's not the same argument.
Why is it not?
If we discovered there were contracts that have not been, that have not been executed, and certificates have been, approved, and that sort of thing, and there were contracts that there were certificates that you asked the owners to come and nobody existed. Do you understand what I mean? Yeah. Nobody existed. Nobody came for it. So money has not been lost to the state. No, wait, I agree with you.
But position then was this is money that we have lost to the state.
No, it meant that if we have not done the audit, those monies would have been lost to the state because they have certificates that have been approved that are supposed to be paid, but there was no contractor, there was no job done. So we could not, it was not justified. I'm saying that when auditors do their job, you see, and let me repeat again, there's one transaction, very big transaction, but they didn't follow due procedure. So instead of tendering it for everybody to get value for money, it was sole sourcing. And the auditors pick it and say that this was not properly, the due process was not followed. So they don't come to the conclusion that, they don't write that because the difference, so if it was cars and they have been bought and the organization is using it, so we have lost the money. It's just that we didn't follow the due process, so next time they should not do that. Those are the conditions. And now somebody should be, administrative sanctions should be. Do you understand my point? But you see, but in the Auditor General report, you say infractions totaling 5.8 billion.
You're not saying to the listening public, in viewing public, that the mere fact that the Auditor General, year on year, the infractions have gone up, shouldn't be a cause of concern. That's not what you're saying. That's not what you're saying.
If the infractions go up, in terms of the number and the variety,
but the value has gone up. Are you concerned?
No, if the value has gone up and it is not established, it's not established that this therefore has led to loss of revenue to the state. We should not be alarmed.
Oh wow, we shouldn't be alarmed?
No, we should not. The public should not be alarmed because it is one infraction that has not followed due process. It doesn't necessarily mean that the state has lost that money. But out there, that is what the impression that might be created.
I'm surprised you say we shouldn't be alarmed.
No, it should not.
Isn't this why the Auditor General exists?
No.
And the Auditor General has done work year on year. 2017 you're about to look at. 2018 we just had. And there's a huge jump in instructions. You said we shouldn't be alarmed.
It's not a huge jump in instructions.
Infractions. The value of the instruction.
In the value of the instruction.
And I'm saying that even if you look at just...
And even one infraction can cause a huge jump.
That's the point I'm making.
That's all.
So if the value has gone up year on year...
But it should not be looked as if, so the situation has gotten worse.
But it has gotten worse.
It has not.
The values have gone worse. The values have gone worse.
It has not.
His point is that once the infractions are not increasing, and we don't have any figures to
make that determination.
Yes. But he is assuming that the number of infractions are not increasing. For that matter, it should not be of concern to us. He thinks that...
I didn't say it should not be of concern.
That is
it shouldn't be alarmed.
It shouldn't be alarmed. It shouldn't be alarmed.
People are
he
saying
thinks that
is going to be different.
Even he thinks that the infraction, if the infractions are increasing, for instance, even in 2017, we say 200 infractions. In 2018, 300 infractions. Then that will be of concern. That is the way I understood his point. But if in 2017 we have 200 infractions, in 2018, let's say in 2017 we have 200 infractions with a value of 800 million. Then in 2018 we have only one infraction with a value of 5 billion, which shouldn't be of concern to us. That is his point.
We shouldn't
be alarmed.
We shouldn't be alarmed. You shouldn't be alarmed.
We shouldn't be alarmed.
That is your
We
point.
should not compare the two and say things are getting
totally,
worse.
and I totally disagree.
That's
with
the
you.
point I'm making.
I totally disagree with you. I'm saying that what should be of concern to us should be the value, not the number of occurrences of infractions.
Even when the money has not been lost to the state.
No, we haven't come to that point. We are saying that
we have come to that point. For instance,
Auditor General has determined that all the infractions, the value of all the infractions,
I'll come to you shortly.
the value of all infractions is up to 5 billion. He's not saying that this money has been lost to the state.
Okay.
He said the infractions valued at 5 billion.
Yes.
That is the point. Now, if it is only one infraction that amounted to that 5 billion, and that infraction is a procurement, Mr. A didn't go to the procedure to procure 5 billion.
Yeah.
And why do we make the law? To prevent what? Thievery. To prevent what? Corruption. To prevent stealing. If you don't go through the process, it means that something went under waters. That is the point. But we cannot determine that value. Okay? But the only thing we can determine is the value of the contract, which has, as a result of the infraction.
Yes.
That is what the Auditor General have done. It's our duty as Public Accounts Committee and call that officer to come and respond. Why didn't you go through the normal procedure to procure goods to the tune of 5 billion? If we find him that there was something wrong, there's a reason why he did that, we'll punish him. So, saying that if we see the value, we should not conclude that nothing has been lost to the state. It's not at this point. We shouldn't say that.
I didn't say that. You see, again, yes, people have not followed due procedure. Does not necessarily mean that something has passed under the water. That assumption is not conclusive. You understand
But there
my
could be
point?
potential
For
loss to the
instance,
state
let me
there.
give you another example. People who have held tax. They should have by the law, they should have transferred that tax to DRA in 21 days or something after the transaction. They have not done it. So they have held tax. And you put all those tax together, and it's 5 billion. Meanwhile, when the moment the auditors got there, those tax have been transferred to the GRA or whatever. And so the Auditor General says, when I went to the place, I went around, I found 5 billion worth of tax that have not been transferred. And then they have now been transferred. So does that mean that we have lost the money?
So at what point should we be concerned and alarmed at all these huge jaw-dropping figures?
We should always be concerned and alarmed, even if there's one infraction.
Exactly.
But I'm saying that don't let the public think that, oh, last year it was 400,000. This year.
But those are the bare facts.
No.
Those are the bare facts on the face of
But
the face of the Auditor
bare
General.
facts, but the interpretation of the facts or the
No, but you need to trust your audience, the taxpayers,
Yes.
to interpret it the way they will. Because
No, I'm not going to take from them how they interpret it. But I'm just saying that
Yes.
sometimes we have a duty also to explain
Okay.
and interpret and let them understand. We are supposed to be the experts in the matter.
No, here's a concern from many taxpayers that year on year, we hear all these jaw-dropping figures. Can you point to us anybody who's been properly sanctioned, possibly imprisoned, money's properly recovered, fully, that the PAC could say as a result of our recommendations, and this raises the point of monitoring post your recommendation. I know that PAC will say, well, our job possibly ceases after we recommend it, but some say that's not a good argument enough. The PAC should integrate into its report a monitoring mechanism that follows up. What's your reaction to that?
You see, the Auditor General is an agent, if you like, of Parliament. His job is to do the practical legwork aspect of the job of Parliament as an oversight committee.
Yeah.
So when we finish our recommendations, it is up to the Auditor General to go and come back and report again to tell that, oh, those recommendations are being implemented.
Do you have those updates? Do you get
Yes,
those
we
updates?
do. We do. It started coming. It was
Since when?
not, you can ask Chairman, it was not coming before, but now it's okay. So it's like every new report, we will
get an
have
update on what has
of
happened.
what has happened to the previous recommendations. It is not up to Parliament. Parliament, let me restate it. Auditor General is the implementing arm of Parliament's oversight responsibility. So when they go and bring those reports, it's as if Parliament has done it. Yes, so yes, there's a monitoring, but it is not done by, if you like, MPs. Do you understand what I mean?
The Auditor General does that.
Yes, and you will see it several times. Even when we are doing public sitting, we recommend into it, go and verify. These people said they have remitted their task, go and verify, and bring us a report. So we get an update of what is done. So there's a follow-up. Now you're talking about punishing somebody and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Because you recommend these things.
Yes, yeah, we do recommend these things. But again, you see, if you recommend to Attorney General, but this particular case there is bad, so prosecute him. Attorney General is not obliged to come back to us and say that, oh, I prosecuted him, I got the money, or I jailed him. I don't think so. He's not obliged to do that. Yeah. And so we know, we get to hear, we know that this man has.
But nothing that gets to happen.
But the point, I'm not saying nothing, but he's not.
In most cases.
Yes. When he prosecutes somebody or you ask him to refund, that report will not come back to us. But we will get from our auditor.
But you still have a second authority and power, our members of Parliament. Chairman, bring you in here to bring the auditor, the Attorney General before the park.
Yes.
And ask the Auditor General, we made these recommendations to you. We are insisting as a people's representative to give us an update on what have you done about these recommendations. Has there been ever a time when the park has taken that, have executed that power? Mr. Abeji, have you executed that power before? The power to haul the Attorney General before you?
No, we do not have that power under the new Public Financial Management Act.
But as parliamentary bodies, I know you have oversight and you can always...
No, there's a role played by the Attorney General under Section 27 of the Public Financial Management Act. That first of all, the heads of the institutions, which in that law we call them entities or covered entities. The heads of covered entities are supposed to submit a report annually to the Minister of Finance on the status of implementation of the recommendation of the Public Accounts Committee and the recommendation of the internal audit unit of that body. Then, 27.6, Section 27.6 says that the Attorney General will also submit a report on the status of the prosecutions that the Attorney General is undertaking based on the recommendation of the Public Accounts Committee to Parliament on annual basis. But the law has just been started in 2017 because it was passed in September 2016. So far, we have not received any report from the Attorney General telling Parliament the status of that recommendation. Probably we have not recommended for a prosecution of somebody because, look, we work on the 2015 and 16 report. Those years were under the old FAA, that is Financial Administration Act. Now, from 2017, we'll be implementing based on the Public Financial Management Act. So those recommendations will now have to come from the report have to come from the Attorney General on how he or she is implementing the recommendation on the Public Accounts Committee based on the recommendation of prosecution. So that is it. So we don't have that power to hold her under the Public Financial Management Act to come and respond. Rather, we expect a report from her to submit to Parliament.
Here's an interesting question. Now we have a new body, the Office of the Special Prosecutor.
Yeah.
Do you think that the Office of the Special Prosecutor can play a role in the work that you do, in actually now doing some of the hard prosecution? Because sometimes we don't trust the Attorney General because he's a political appointee.
No, we think that the Special Prosecutor has a role to play. No, this is a very nice dimension. The Auditor General audit the accounts after the event has taken place. So he go to audit the account and submit report. Now the reports come to Parliament. Parliament also sit on it, sometimes a year lag before we work on it. Before report or recommendation comes, maybe 2-3 years have passed.
Yes.
Now, which means that we have been dealing out issues that are of age, not current. But with the passage of the Special Prosecutor Act, he can now go, not to wait for the Auditor General to finish his audit, submit the report for the Committee of Public Accounts to recommend before he takes action. Once the thing has come to public domain, he moves in to go and investigate. And that will even help the work of the Auditor General as well as Parliament. Public accounts.
This is a very interesting point you've made.
Yeah.
And a further question to that. Should and some of them will not come to public domain. Should the Auditor General, before he comes to you, when he discovers something very alarming, can he
alert the Special Prosecutor to move in.
Can he do that?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a violation of the procedures in dealing with Parliament?
No,
because he must bring the thing to you.
No, he can't.
Wouldn't that circumvent the process?
No. Look, if the issue that the Auditor General, maybe during the course of the audit, have found that this is something that needs urgent attention, he can draw the attention of the Special
So the Auditor
Prosecutor.
General should not wait until he brings a report to Parliament.
Yes, he shouldn't wait.
Immediately he finds something alarming, he should alert the Special Prosecutor
Yes,
to get
not
it.
all, but those are the things that needs urgent attention.
They should go to the Special Prosecutor.
Yes.
Would you support that?
You know, it's an issue we have been discussing until the Supreme Court made their pronouncement about
The surcharge.
the power of the surcharge and that sort of thing. The issue, the law was that Auditor General has to submit his report to Parliament. So the Auditor General report itself was not a finality until it has been dealt with by Parliament through the Public Accounts Committee. But now the Supreme Court has given the Auditor General powers of surcharge and others. Even before the report
Comes to it's fully finalized and come to you.
yes, before, if you like, the people's representative has had opportunity to look at it. So, whilst I may agree with my chairman that yes, if there's something serious, why not? But we have a procedural issue here, as far as I'm concerned. We have a procedural issue. Should the report be acted on before it has even been looked at by Parliament, or what is it?
He says the Auditor General can immediately, in those special cases, alert the Special Prosecutor to jump in. You disagree or you agree with that?
To be honest with you, I don't agree, because I believe that then there will be a constitutional issue,
Debbie.
because the Constitution says you should submit your report to Parliament. You see, and you have not submitted a report to Parliament. We have not looked at it. Then you have reported to Auditor General to, if you like, prosecute somebody. What about if the report comes to Parliament? We invite the person and we find out that, no, really, maybe, and I'm telling you,
The Special Prosecutor can do a far better job at the probing matters than Parliament can, because you don't have the powers to go in there. He has CID investigators at his disposal. He has the power to prosecute. You don't. You probably just sit in the front of the camera.
I agree with you. I said we don't have even powers to prosecute and investigate.
And you always lament that the AG is not doing the job. So why don't you allow
But the point I'm making is that
the SP to do it?
the Constitution that set up this arrangement has not been changed, and therefore, if it has not been changed, and there's circumvention, let me put it that way, then we have a problem. But otherwise, I also want issues that are detected to be handled quickly and people punished and that sort of thing to fight the law.
How?
But the
The
law
history has shown that it has never happened. It happens very slowly.
So the law must be changed.
But we can't always jump to the law might be changed.
Because I don't. We live in a country of laws. We live in a country of laws. Are you saying that?
I mean, forget about the law. In any society,
I can't forget about
just
the law.
a second. In any society, if you suspect, forget about even the Auditor General, any citizen that a crime is being committed or in the process of being committed, you are obliged to call the attention of the authorities to it.
Yes.
That injunction
Yes.
is on the Auditor General as it is on any one of us. So if he finds that something grievous is happening, like Chairman has suggested, what bars him from calling the attention of the special prosecutor to it as a citizen to act? Because he knows it's going to take another year for example, possible, for your committee to sit on it.
Yeah.
By which time, the person might have dissipated the funds, might have probably left the jurisdiction. All these things happen all the time. Don't you think that is a plausible position to take on this matter than go under the law and say there might
So
be a
let's change the law.
Let me just make a point. Let me remind my colleague that recently when we're handling the report of the Auditor General on the trade fair company,
Yes.
it came to a point that we recommended that there must be a forensic audit of the transactions of that company. Who does that audit investigation? Who? We only said there must be a forensic audit. Audit. So who will go and do that? Now, when the Auditor General is working and realizes that there is a need for a further investigation, the body that has the power to investigate should be called to come and take action. That is not a recommendation of the Auditor General for the Office of the Special Prosecutor to prosecute the person. No. They should go and investigate. Once the Auditor General continues to do his audit and submit his report, if the Special Prosecutor go to do the investigation and finds nothing, it ends there. But if he finds something, then he also take action. Because what we want to do, we want to prevent certain infractions to occur. Let us not wait for the thing to happen. Report is submitted a year after the event took place. Audit Public Accounts Committee take another 1 year after to look at it. 2 years has passed before recommendations come. If that person ran away from
Here's
the
a
country.
political question. 2016 elections were run largely on corruption, right? And we heard a lot about how when the NPP comes to power, they're going to deal with the corruption issue. The Auditor General's report, you're going to see significant decreases in the amount of infractions and corruption issues that were here. Are you surprised that a year and a half in, the value, I know there's a disagreement there, but the value of the infractions seems to be ballooning year on year?
I think I said it earlier on, and I will repeat it again, that I expect that the value
Will be
of
going
this
down.
infraction should be going down. But rather, because we're happy when the 2017 report showed a reduction from 2016, from 2.1 billion to 822
And then it's
billion.
gone up again.
Then it's gone to 5.2 billion. That is why I'm scary that, well, are we losing the fight? I do not think that we're losing the fight. So when we begin to go into the details of the findings of the Auditor General in that report, we will then know what constitutes that infraction. Because we know these irregularities come from tax irregularity, cash procurement, tax, and all those things. So we'll find out which area that constituted the largest portion. And then that will tell us what really is happening.
Yeah.
Whether we are losing the fight or not.
There's one you commented on yesterday on my show, which is that the Auditor General found that the Finance Ministry had paid out a contract of $1 million to a firm to conduct an audit, but no work done. The Auditor General has recommended that they should, first of all, retrieve the money and cancel the contract. You thought people at the Finance Ministry should be answering questions for that?
Yeah, I said that, first of all, under contract management, when contract is awarded and then mobilization money is paid, usually 15%, maximum 20%, is paid for the contractor to mobilize to site. Subsequent payments are based on certification. That is work done certified. Okay, first the work is done, is evaluated, and then it's certified. Then payment is made. Now my question is that the $1 million that has been paid to the company, was that the mobilization fee, or it's beyond the mobilization? If it is beyond the mobilization, upon what basis was the money paid? Was there certification? If there was certification, it means that some work has been done. If there was no certification, why should the officers pay?
Auditor General didn't find any.
So that is what I'm saying, that if that is the case, then the officers who pay the money to a company that hasn't done any work must also be punished. When the contract is abrogated because no work has been done, the company must refund the money with interest. Then the officers who did the payment must also be punished.
Well, why is this happening on the watch of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo?
I cannot answer that question.
Why can't you answer?
I cannot answer that
Why can't
question.
you answer that question?
When you see him, then you ask him.
But
Let me also tell you.
Tell me.
Let me tell you. These infractions, these things that happen, the Nana Akufo-Addo is not everywhere. There are officers.
The people there
There
are
are
his
people involved.
representatives.
And it didn't happen only. It's not happening only under Nana Akufo-Addo, please. It has
You are
happened
justifying- you are
over
justifying-
previous and every government. So if you ask me why is it happening under Nana Akufo-Addo,
The guy is just
it's because of your previous
It's all-
pronouncement that I'm asking you.
what previous?
You know, the president has constantly said, in fact, when it comes
What previous pronouncement?
pronouncement that as far as he's concerned,
Yes.
fighting corruption, reduce procurement breaches, which is one of the biggest reasons why we're having the challenge.
Yes.
He says he's going to deal with it. In fact, if he comes, anytime he comes to your house for the State of the Nation, one of the things you always cite is that they have saved the country to cutting through social sector. So you heard this all the time.
I've heard it.
I mean,
I've heard it
so it's a legitimate question to ask you.
Do you have any basis for saying that
It's a
corruption and fraud is not reducing? Do you have any basis
No,
for
I'm
saying
just
that?
asking.
Just because one issue has been raised by the Auditor General, so you are asking this general question. You are not being fair. Because you see, you have no basis for saying that corruption has going up or going down. You have no basis. And if you say that, for me, it's a bit unfair.
Unfair. You think? But this, you know, this is a country we run. It's an executive government we run.
Yes.
He must take the credit for every little positive. He must also take the blame for every little negative. You disagree with that?
But you see, you are generalizing it. You are generalizing it. As if under his watch, corruption has jumped up. You have no basis for saying that. You understand?
Has corruption been reducing, at least on the basis of the Auditor General's report?
And I'm saying that on the basis of the Auditor General report,
The quantum is going up.
what is
The values of the infractions.
I've already dealt with
I
that.
know you have, but I'm just chipping in to say
And I'm
that if you're using that as a measure
yes,
of the reduction corruption.
Evans, in 2016,
if you use that as a value,
2016,
if you use
they
value
had
as a
basis
measure,
of value that was
if you use
corruption.
that
By
as a
2018,
measure,
there hasn't been any basis to value.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you cannot sit here and say that corruption has gone up.
Has it gone down?
I don't know.
You must know.
Why must I know?
As a ranking on the Public Accounts Committee, you deal with these issues on
You see,
almost every
you are
now and
making
then.
a mistake.
Okay.
The mistake you are making is that infractions are not necessarily corruptions. Infractions. All the laws, financial management laws, procurement laws, all the laws that are there are meant to, if you like, make it difficult, reduce the infractions and that sort of thing. But infractions themselves cannot be equated to corruption.
Infractions.
You understand what I mean?
No,
Infractions
I
definitely-
understand, but I don't know.
And
if-
I also wanted to understand that the value of the infractions doesn't necessarily mean.
I get that. I think that's the point we've really
Yeah,
expressed.
so please.
infraction means that officers do not follow the laid down procedure. And not following the laid down procedure could amount to corruption. Could. I'm saying could. Could amount to. Why didn't you follow the procedure? If you don't have any intention, why did you bypass the procedure? So, if you want to be judged to be non-corrupt, then follow the procedure. But once you do not follow the procedure, one will conclude that there's a reason for not following the procedure because you want to what? on mass
Okay.
wealth.
Final questions as we wrap up. I think there's a general consensus. You want to react to that?
Yes.
Okay, please do.
You see, we have recommended several times in our report that officers must be given the necessary training, because you can really see that some of the infractions are not because of any real motive, because the person hasn't got enough training and the counseling officer have not. So that some of them even don't understand the laws. So we have recommended several times. So I'm surprised to say that, well, first of all, like I told you, I have no basis for saying that infractions have gone up or down. We have not measured it. We as a committee have not measured it. And then if there are infractions, it doesn't mean that it is equivalent to corruption. No.
Mr. Abedi, how do we get a better outcome from this 2018 report so that we don't repeat the same old story of back looking at it, recommendations going?
I think we just need to punish people who are found guilty. If we are hard in punishing people to set the precedent, I think the others will be careful whenever they want undertake any transaction on behalf of the people. If we don't do that, then we'll continue, because yes, somebody did it, no punishment. I can also do it and go scot-free. So we should begin to punish. That is why the point is that, look, Public Accounts Committee, we don't have that power to punish. In fact, we don't have any work to do if the Auditor General has not done his work. So where do we place the power in order to ensure that people are punished? That was why I was raising that question when we're doing the discussion. That do we need another body that will ensure that the recommendations of Auditor General and the Parliament are fully implemented, and if not, punishment are also meted. So we can still debate it further, but I think that personally, we need to begin to punish people in order to do the right thing.
Okay. How do we get a different story?
I agree with him on that score. We need to punish and punish. We also need to, like we have been doing it the whole day, strengthen the internal audit units and make them very resourceful and independent. Because then they will reduce they will reduce the infractions. They are the first point of call before even the external auditors come. So if they really know their act, they have the resources, and they don't fear anybody, they will make sure that infractions go down. And government will get its maximum revenue.
Mr. Abedi, I know primaries are coming. How is it going with you?
Oh, it's going on well.
Okay. This is next week Saturday is the day for you.
Yeah, next week Saturday. I've always gone through primary. This is my 5th primary.
Okay.
So I'm a veteran in primary.
Have you always had people challenging you?
Yes.
Okay.
I've always been challenged by the first one, it was one person. The second one, no, first we were 5 and I won. The second one person challenged me. The third one, 2 people. The fourth one, 3 people challenged me. Now 3 people.
I thought leaders like yourself should have an arrangement where...
We have democracy in NDC, so...
Okay. You welcome it?
Yeah, we welcome.
Okay. You don't have a problem, do you?
What do you mean I don't have a problem? Every politician has a problem to overcome.
Yeah.
And I have
yours is in September.
Yeah, ours is coming in. Next year probably.
Oh, next year?
They are doing their...
You see, we have separated it into 2. We are doing the
Orphan
ones.
Okay, so for the incumbents, you next year.
Yes.
Good thing for you. You have enough time to prepare.
For the never have enough time to prepare.
Oh, for politics. That's true. A day can be a year.
It's not a good thing for him.
It's not.
He will have to spend from now
to then. Thank you very much. That's,
if it has come even earlier, it's better.
Yeah, that's the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee and his ranking member on the subject of the Auditor General's report. I'm sure you've been reading it and wondering what is going to happen to stop it. They propose a few things. We'll see if this time we have a different story from this latest Auditor General's report. My name is Evans Menson. Enjoy the rest of the evening.